60K student loan debt. Flash 2 years later, flip life, paid off the student debt.
Kevin, you with the couch flipping. I started 2 years ago. Our first month we made 10K.
Let's go! We'll go to the south of France, spend a week out there. I like it. Yeah, we're there.
Cheers, buddy.
Wow. I went on 6 dates in the same area for one night, and I only got caught once.
No.
Whoa!
I think you got ripped off. I know you made money.
I got his movie.
Well, your wife's too hot for that.
What's your Dunkin' Donuts order?
It's a large iced caramel swirl, regular.
One more, what was it? Good morning, you bad, beautiful bitches, you. We are back Wednesday morning with the love of my life. Ashley, hello.
How are ya?
Good.
You're the love of my life.
Wow. How are you? It was one of the most Boston things I've ever heard.
I have to switch that. I think I have to
No,
start.
it's good.
Yeah,
I
no,
like
keep it.
Hit me with
Okay.
another Boston greeting. Just that one again's fine, you know.
Fenway Park.
No, I was saying say how are you?
Oh, how are ya?
Now say how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, when you corrected it, it sounds
I couldn't come up with
Phew.
any other greeting. I said Fenway Park.
yeah. Jeez. You want some Marlboro Reds over there? Good Lord. We were doing a Q&A edition. We posted last night on Instagram stories that we're doing a Q&A for today's pod. So we will be answering all your questions. Why don't we volley for serve? Why don't you kick us off here?
Sure.
Question one. What do you got?
So one of the ones I actually got quite a few times was, how did I just lose this? How do we balance seeing both sides of the family for holidays?
Ooh, here we go.
Because I think a lot of couples actually run into that issue.
Big
and then
fighting season.
I know. We got very lucky though,
We
I do
did.
have to say. So basically just to start off, come from a full Italian background family. Kevin comes from, their family acts Italian.
I'm 11% Italian.
You're right.
You know?
But more Irish. So one of the differences in holidays is that my family does more of a noon, 1 p.m. start.
Yeah.
You guys do a classy sit-down dinner.
Yeah, you're the matinee. We're very much a late night crew.
Yeah.
The potato famine. You know, we had.
I mean, it takes so long to cook. So,
right.
You know.
Yeah.
But it worked for us. We're just really full by the end of the night. But so for Easter, Thanksgiving, the holidays that are just the 1 days, we do my family, then over to your family. What are you laughing at?
I'm just thinking about.
Oh, the lasagna. Well, you can talk about that in a second. And then Christmas, we do celebrate both, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And my mom's birthday is Christmas Day, but Christmas Eve is definitely bigger for Italians. So your family actually now started coming over for Christmas Eve. And now we just do your family on Christmas Day.
Yeah, well, I was laughing at the biggest difference between first holiday. I'm full Irish. She's Italian. I am 11% Italian. So we Italians, Feast of the Seven Fishes, potatoes 8 ways in the Irish household.
Our daughter's going to be plump.
The problem with the Italians is you guys never stray far from your safe foods.
Right.
You know?
Oh, wow.
I'm there. It's our first holiday together. It's Thanksgiving. We have a normal Thanksgiving spread: mashed potatoes, corn, turkey,
Green bean
gravy,
casserole.
which is interesting because you guys also, that's another bone to pick, but you guys call it gravy and sauce gravy. But anywho, we'll get to that. We finished eating this lovely Thanksgiving meal at her parents' house, and the basement door opens. In comes Nona with a lasagna. It was the most Italian thing I've ever seen. We just finished eating your last bite, and you're like, "That was great! Wow!" Bang, lasagna, and everyone starts grabbing the lasagna as if they haven't. It was like that scene in The Grinch when the Grinch burns down the tree in the center of Whoville, and they're like, "Thank God we have a spare," and they put up the second tree. It was that.
Yeah.
It was oh, I couldn't eat anything else. I'm stuffed. And then it was burn.
And then there's always an eggplant palm. There's meatballs, a whole gravy with everything.
Yeah, let's pick this. Let's really pull a thread on this Italian topic. Here's my bone to pick with Italians. You guys see, with the Irish, you know what we call a potato? A fucking potato. Italians, What's sauce?
I will say,
Is it sauce or gravy? Because you go back to the motherland, it's sauce. And then you go over here to like fist pumping, chapstick wearing Jersey Shore, now it's gravy. Not, well, back in Napoli, they call it sauce over there, all right? You know in Ireland what they call a baked potato? A baked potato.
I will say,
You know?
yes. So, but different like Italians for whatever reason do call it different things. Like I'm pretty sure in New York they just call it sauce. But so for us, gravy is always if there's meat in it. So, and we would never make a red sauce. It's always a gravy.
Thanksgiving, what are you putting on your turkey?
Gravy. It's context though. I would never. You wouldn't put brajol with like.
Confusing.
Right.
The
Just yeah. It's not that confusing. It's not confusing. You're confused, but it's not confusing.
It sounds because you said gravy is gravy if there's meat in the sauce.
Right, and we would never.
No meat in that Thanksgiving gravy, but it's gravy. Here's an easy rule: if it's brown, it's gravy. If it's red, it's sauce. Okay, and let me tell you, the sauce is zesty. Am I right?
Our poor daughter.
What's it going to be in our house? Sauce or gravy?
It's going to be the way I say it, and I guess you say it the way you say it, and then she'll just get confused and not know anything.
Okay, that is. Moving on. Anywho, there's so many weird ones.
I know.
Here's an interesting one to start with, I guess. Is Boston safe for tourism?
I love when people will message me this.
And where should we go in Boston, if so?
I think a lot of it too, and I've gotten like DMs about this. People, all the movies about Boston, there's almost like no nice movies about Boston. Very few. It's always the town, Whitey Bulger. Like it's always this, so people think that's what Boston is when you come here, which is really funny.
Yeah. No, it's not as rough as they depicted it.
No.
You know? And there are safe spots. I say that, like I was going to say like North End, safe spot. I got punched in the face in the North End.
Yeah, but that person wasn't from the North End, so.
Wasn't from the North End, right. So basically, proceed with caution.
Yeah.
All right?
I mean, it's just like any other city, but I think it's definitely safer than like New York. I feel safer here than I do sometimes walking around like Manhattan.
I feel plenty safe. I feel so safe. I will say, ever since getting punched in the face in the North End, I do keep a can of pepper spray on me. Just to ward off predators.
I know. That was wild. That was a really, really sad situation.
And then you're going to get pretty tense walking the streets of Boston. That's why I have these traps. And that's why you're also going to want to take care of your body with some of this, some of the cupping. All right, drink that in, gang. Get a little of that. That is, look at the cupping, huh? That is, so Boston will do that too. You got to stay on your toes,
Boston, though, is...
Hurley's back there like, what did I just see?
I know. Boston is safe. You definitely have to avoid certain areas, and it's just like any other city, but also town. Like you have like your rough kids. Don't try and start a fight,
Yeah.
Things like that. Kevin didn't start this fight. This guy just wasn't all there mentally.
No,
but,
a lot of drugs. He was on a lot of drugs.
Yeah, he was. But no, overall, it's very safe. I'd say for tourism, stick around probably Seaport, North End. Obviously, like the tourist places, like Newbury Street, the Commons, like they do kind of get a little crazy, but like you're safe if you go during the daytime.
Yeah. Dude, Boston Commons, what's happening there, huh?
It's like really sad.
Wherever that waterfall is, the circle thing, beautiful area.
Yeah.
It is infested.
I know.
With drugs. It's crazy over there now.
I know.
That place, that's like the new combat zone.
I know.
Sad.
Sad.
This is something I think we've talked about doing this many times over, and I think we actually should put pen to paper here and get this going.
Yeah.
You should host a singles night in Boston, games, etc. The apps are horrid, which I've actually heard a lot. I've heard a lot of people say the apps aren't as... I don't know what's happening on the apps, but I don't know. I've been out of that market for a while. But I agree. I think we should... I don't know what form or fashion that would be in, but we should really put our heads together to host some sort of like fun, like singles mixer, something fun.
Yeah. It's like you got to weasel out. I think the issue with the apps is there's like a lot of people on there who are just trying to hook up or different things. So it's like in person, we have to like weasel out the people. Like, are you serious? Like, that's why I think shows like, not to say that like Love is Blind works or anything. Like I have never been on the show and like you see the ratings, but I think like when you end in marriage, that's scary. Right. No one's going on that really to like they're serious about it. We have a lot of these apps. It's like, oh, honey, I can take you out for one night and then block you. Like,
right.
So I think like a lot of the issues, like you and I get a lot of questions like, how did you and Kevin meet in Boston? And I'm like, we didn't. And you weren't living in Boston when we started dating. So Boston's tough.
Yeah, I've always said the best dating app is Instagram. I know there's all the other ones out there, Hinge, Bumble, Grindr, all that stuff. You and I met on Instagram, technically.
Right.
You know?
At the end of the day, like you and I didn't know each other, but we had a lot of mutual friends, and like Instagram can show that.
Yes.
And like you can see more of each other than just like the 3 questions you decide to put up there.
Right.
So I think that also helps. It's tough though out there. We've heard horror stories.
Yeah, it's a war zone.
We should do something.
We gotta
find a way, but
you know what we should do? We should plan it's got to be maybe like second week in January, where everyone's in there like new year, new me. I'm gonna try something bold. You know, we should really figure out, and then we have to figure out like what. Maybe that's something we ask the audience too. Like, what if you're listening to this? Drop a comment below if you're listening on YouTube. What does that event look like?
Yeah.
Like in her thing, she said, it's a singles event in Boston with games, etc. The apps are hard. Like, do we play games? Is it like...
Imagine a carnival, but like everyone's single there. So like you're playing games like the water thing. Like fun kid games where you can let loose and not like...
Yeah, there's no pressure. I know,
Yeah.
see, that sounds great. But then also I'm the kind of guy that I hate games.
Well, good thing you're married.
We were never. I know you. Maybe you handle that sect. We never did like family game nights.
Yeah, I never.
At our house, it was always like, let's sit at the dinner table and like laugh and talk.
Yeah,
you know. But it's like, how do you recreate that? You know, because I feel like especially with singles, you get everyone in a room. You're gonna have to do something to like.
I think it's not even the dating apps that's the issue. I think the issue is like, not to be rude, like so many people want to play off this like cool thing. Like enough. Like, it's the people we gotta fix. Like, even the people who want, respectfully.
Ashley for president.
But even the people who are like, oh, I want to find someone serious and stuff, they'll go in, like, not themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, honey, you're not finding the person you want because you're not even going in selling who you are. You know?
Who you what? Sorry.
I sold who I was. You knew my accent right from the get-go.
Yeah, I did. And one of the first times we were alone, I was like, you could cut the whole act thing. You were like, this is no act, honey. I was like, oh, good. That's great. Because I love your accent.
And you met my parents, and you're like, oh, my God, this really isn't an act.
I was like, wow, they're smoking in here. That's crazy. I come from a household where if you sneezed, you were going to get hit with Windex, you know? Jan's a bit of a neat freak.
Why I have such a good immune system.
Yeah, your immune system is just... your immune system is like a cigar lounge. It's just like... nothing they haven't seen before, you know?
Yeah.
This one kind of piggybacks on that, and then I'd love to jump to you next. Would you ever consider hosting a Love is Blind reunion episode if they asked?
Oh, absolutely.
100%. That would be so much fun.
And respectfully, not to be rude to the other two, I think me and you would be so much more entertaining because, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm going to, like, tell you how it is.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
You'd be the Simon Cowell of the hosting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough of this, like, acting cute, like...
soft parenting.
Yeah, no. Yeah. No, yeah, I think it would be hilarious.
We have to find a way to infiltrate that. I mean, those videos perform so well, the Love is Blind stuff. We have to.
It's so funny. Like, I wish people are like, oh, like, this is just like funny content. I'm like, no. You should see Kevin sitting there watching this, and we'll both just slowly look at each other on the same scene, and we're like, there's no way this is happening right now.
You know me, I'm not a show guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really big. I don't have, my ADD won't allow it.
Yeah.
But if I get hyper fixated on something, like right now we're in baking championships.
That was hilarious last night.
And this guy was putting on a tier 3 to a 3-tiered cake at the top of his cake, and his hand went inside his cake.
You're so upset.
Ruined the frosting. I was like, oh no! Oh no, it yielded 2 cups of sugar. He did it, and then his hand ruined it. Damn it, Eduardo. The judges are going to notice that.
And it's so funny because whenever those happen, then I look at you, you're like, right, and you'll get up and go do work.
Yeah,
I'm
like that'll do it for me.
I love that.
Volley for serve. Take your pick.
All right, let's see. So one thing, we kind of get this a lot, but I like the way she worded it, is how do we manage conflict?
Oh.
So one thing, like we always say, like honestly, you and I, we have not had a fight, a legitimate fight. We've had disagreements, and like we just like are very good at talking through them. But I think managing conflict, like especially with like a lot of the things we've had going on recently, like marriage, babies, house, like
yes.
These are big chapters that require very serious conversations. I think like a big thing, and I think it comes down to like you and I were both in like not good communicative.
Whoa.
That is a word, right?
I don't even know.
Relationships prior to like you and I. Like Kevin and I will sit there and laugh, and we both think that we're like the opposite character in like a thriller, because I'm always like, why is this so easy? Like, surely you're fucking with me and you're gonna turn around and murder me at some point and you're building my trust.
That's all those books you read.
I know, but then you sometimes too, you're like, why is this so easy? Like, am I gonna do this to you? Like, am I just, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think we both just like communicate well, but we're also both so stubborn.
You're pretty hard-headed.
I know I am, but you not admitting to it right now. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Like, do you have advice? Like, how do we manage conflict?
I think you hit it right in the head. We just like 10x communication on all things. Ash and I moved super fast. We got engaged in March. We got married December of that same year.
Pregnant in June.
House in October. So those are like major life events where, you know what I really admire about you that you do well at, which I think there's always a partner that might struggle with this, is your ability to make decisions really fast is on par.
Thank you.
Like, you know, for me, it's somewhat easy because I'm, you know, you're just kind of used, like coming from the sales world, you're used to it. You're used to like making, you know, this person's either a buyer or they're not, you know, and if they ain't, I'm hanging up. You know what I mean? Like you make quick decisions. So for you to have that, like for the wedding, we planned that out in 2 weeks?
Oh my God, it was the easiest thing we've done. It's always so hard when people message me and ask, and I'm like, it was so easy.
Yeah, and then same for, you know, the timing of when we wanted to have our first child. You were like, I'm thinking like sometime after the holidays. I was like, done.
Yeah.
You let me know the math on that. Where do I need to be? You know.
You let me know what days I need my pants off, and I'll be there.
Yeah, and then for the house, same thing. Like you're decorating the nursery, and you were even asking last night, like, you'll say something, right, if you don't like it. But it's like all the stuff you pick out is, I don't have the eye for design.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, like run with it. Like I'm a big fan of say yes and agree, and then if it is bad, we course correct and fix it.
Yeah.
Like you can always, you know. That's Amazon. Amazon has a cool. You ever hear this? That you can't say no at Amazon?
No.
So if you're like a C-suite or a manager at Amazon, and an employee comes to you and they pitch you an idea, you have to say yes. And if you say no, you have to write. It's like a 3-page thesis of why no.
Wow.
But saying yes always and pulling the thread on it to know if it's good or bad.
Yeah. Trying it out.
Has what has evolved them. Like you even. Ashley shared a link with me yesterday. You can buy homes on Amazon.
Crazy.
It was like a $43,000 home. It's like a pool house, more or less.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure at some point someone was like, we should sell homes.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, how do we find suppliers and sellers?
And the shipping was crazy on that. It was like going to be
like,
here next week.
You're like, yeah, Tuesday if you order it. I was like, wow, all right. Holy.
I do think too, sorry not to cut you off, but like as we get to these bigger challenges, what you and I, like, we literally say aloud to each other, if we are getting to a point where heated isn't even the right word, but we're clearly disagreeing, one of us will say it one time, same team.
Same team.
Same team.
I love that.
And I think, I don't even remember where we got that from exactly, but it was like, you need to remember that in your marriage because challenges are going to come up, that if you do have disagreements or if like simple things like, I don't think we had to say same team about this, but like I want to light floors, he wanted dark floors. I'm not disagreeing with you to piss you off. Like our disagreement is simply because like this is something like I like, you like that. We're on the same team. No one's trying to fight the other person.
Right.
It's like, let's talk about it. Like, why do you want it that way? We're on the same team. No one's trying to argue.
Right.
And I think that always really helps us too. Be like, okay, yeah, no one's out to get each other.
Yeah.
Same team.
Same team.
Why do we feel this way?
We'll always say same team, and then do our little handshake.
And then we like forget about it. We're like, all right, light floors. You like light floors.
Yeah. But potentially dark floors. I sent you that picture. They look pretty good, didn't they? For those confused, we're still debating on what floors to go with for our home. Really, really light or really, really dark. Anywho. 2 great ones here. I guess we'll start here. How do you manage morals with influencing and collabs? Will enough money change that? early, or like some of our first collabs with brands, you're so shocked that someone even cares enough about you to want to work. Like you're so thankful that someone even wants to work with you. You just like say yes.
Yeah.
And then I think you get to a spot as you know, kind of build a callus of taking more and more work on where you can start to say no. Early in your career, this question's tough because you're saying yes to like everything.
Yeah.
Just to like get your name out there and build and build and build. Now I think more than ever, it's important to really only do collabs that either on products you actually use or know about. Like I was saying this the other day about buying a car. The consumers nowadays have more info on cars than the salesmen at, let's say, a Ford dealership, you know? Like you can go on to see the Carfax and you can look up Kelley Blue Books. You know exactly what this car should be priced at, you know? So on the influencing side, it's like if you're using a product that sucks and you're like, oh, this Dyson blah, blah, blah is amazing. And let's say it is amazing, great. But if it's not, like the consumers are going to know about it.
Yeah.
So to lie and use a product that you don't or endorse something that you really don't believe in, I think you and I do a good job of.
Yeah.
Of, you know. There was an early collab I'm thinking of. I'll leave the name of the company out, but it was a cockroach spray. It was one of my like earlier collabs. And you're so like, and the product was safe and healthy, and it worked. It got rid of cockroaches. But we live in a nicer
Like
apartment.
there's no cockroaches in that.
So my friends are roasting me about, oh, are there a bunch of cockroaches up there in that ivory tower you live in there, pal? You know. So now we do a really good job at like, okay, we you got to actually like the product and use the product to do a deal.
I also think like you and I are really good at like we 100% know, and I hope we do a good job at also showing it. Like we are only in a situation, we only get the opportunities that we get to meet the people that we get to meet, anything because of the people who follow us and who have supported us. And we know that and we appreciate that and we respect that. And I think to turn around and completely lie about something.
Totally.
Now we're losing your trust, and that's not going to help us. Like, great, you got a paycheck, but like that's not going to help us build and grow in the way that we want to. There's definitely been brands I've turned down because I'm like, I truly do not agree with like the way they were back running things. Like there's a few brands that like that just ethically like I don't agree with. But even saying that, there might be brands that we work with that not everyone's going to agree on either. So also remembering that, you know, like a few of the brands that I got, people like this like makes no sense or something. And it's like for your lifestyle, it might not. For someone else's, it might. So also, you know, kind of working out like would I use this? Maybe I don't already. Maybe I didn't know about it, but will I be using this? And kind of going from that.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
This one kind of runs off that early in our career. What gave you the incentive to start what you did, and have you stayed still driven?
You started, so.
There's a video, and I'll have to find it for the shorts for this. There's a video of me in like 1999 in a Rugrats pajamas and a Fisher Price Toys R Us camera.
In a bowl cut.
And my mom used to do these vlogs. Jan was a vlogger before vlogging was vlogging, you know? So my mom used to do these videos called Day in the Life. So it'd be Day in the Life of Kevin James Cooney. And she'd go through each one of our siblings. But you'd wake up in the morning and you'd wake up to back then those camcorders went, you'd hit the record button, the camcorder would go, bing, bong. So you'd be sleeping. And then you'd hear, bing, bong. And you'd be like, oh no. I'm 1999, so I am 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh no, today's Day in the Life. And you would hear, welcome to Day in the Life. My mom's voice, for those wondering, sounds like, remember Delilah? Delilah. She was on the radio out there that like.
Yeah. People knew about it. I didn't though.
Yeah. Maybe there's just, I don't know if that was like a New Hampshire thing or what, but Delilah, my mom's voice sounded just like that. She'd be like, welcome to Day in the Life of Kevin James Cooney. And then I'd like take a second and then I'd immediately like pop out of bed and I was like wired to do whatever we're going to do that day. And she'd film the whole day. And then she'd edit it up and we'd watch it like later that night. Like it was insane. Vlogging in 1999 is wild. And there's a video of me in our little toy room and she bought me a camera because I thought my mom was like the coolest person in the world. she bought me a camera. So whenever she would film, I would film her, you know? And it's me, and I'm literally like introducing myself, and I'm like, and to the show, Kevin James Cooney, I present to you. And so I don't even know how to answer that. Like, I've always had the drive for content because I grew up with it.
Yeah.
Like, my mom was an English teacher, but then ran like the morning news for that high school. And we'd go in and mess around with green screens and sit in the studio chairs as like little kids. And then as I grew up, I did the news at my high school. So I was like, good morning, Jaguars. Today, balmy 77 out there. Girls soccer game will be at 4:30 p.m. And loved like all facets of content.
Yeah.
Behind the camera, I loved editing. I loved coming up with ideas. I loved filming. So once TikTok came out, it was like all of my worlds in one. Like, it was innately there. Like, that's how I don't feel burnt out, like, ever. Like, I'm very little. I think that's one thing that probably drives you nuts about me. And I think you were talking to Sean, my older sister, about this, of like, he doesn't have an off switch. Like, as I get busier, I get more and more energy. Yeah. You know?
There's this one, it was like early pregnancy, probably like 3-ish months. And I started like crying to you, and you weren't pressuring me at all, but you just had all these ideas. And like, oh, we can do this, and then we can do this. And you just get so excited about it. And at that point, I still am like, I'm just tired 24/7. And you weren't even saying like, you need to do this tomorrow. You were like having ideas. And I just started bawling my eyes out. And you're like, what's wrong? I was like, I can't do that right now. Like, I'm just trying to grow a life. And you're like, it's okay. I'm just like excited. And I was like, okay. Do you remember that though?
I do. And I felt horrible, but it's only because I love it so much. I love creating content and creating in general.
Great. Yeah.
You know?
It's great because you have that brain constantly going for it, which makes like our like life and experience doing this relatively easy. And I think, you know, a lot of what we show is actually just us.
Yeah.
But like, we are able to do it without having to like spend our days with cameras in our face all day. So like, you're able to come up with ways that we can still live our normal life, but like, you're like, oh, I think like this is what they'd like to see or something. This is entertaining. So it's great because like my brain doesn't work that way, where I have more of like the organized, like A to B.
Yeah.
So
why don't you hit us with 2 more of your favorites?
Oh, let's see.
And we'll close out this round. If you're wondering how to enter these, we literally, the night before we record, we'll post a story on Instagram. You can follow both Ashley and I at Ashley_D Cooney. Is that your IG? Look at me. At Kevin Cooney with 2 Y's. We'll put a story up and we'll put a questionnaire, and we will literally just try to blow through as many questions as we can. Hit us.
So the 2 questions I think we should touch upon are kind of similar, but basically people are asking, they're also trying to buy their first home, either like late 20s, early 30s. First one is just like, what's the first thing? How do you even go about it? They haven't started the process. And second is, how do you deal with doing it in this economy with debt?
Like, they have debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of go hand in hand. One thing you and I discussed prior to this is, so when we came into the relationship, you had no debt. And like, neither of us were handed money for college. Like, we both came out with $60,000 to $70,000 in just student debt. You flipped couches. You found that extra source of income after your 9 to 5. You'd work your ass off till 10 p.m. and flip couches. So you paid off your debt. I decided to shop after college and build up more debt. So not only did we have to work on the debt I already had, but now we had to work on my unhealthy mindset of money, basically, and my like relationship with money. And one thing we talked about was, you know, when we get married, kind of having no debt. And I think a lot of that was, one, you know, if we are going to get married, buy a house, build a family together, you can't have one person like not even thinking money grows on trees, which, I mean, like, they do, but, you know. So that was something that like I had I had like 3 jobs. I was trying to get money on social media, but I really wasn't getting much money at this point on social media. But I had to literally completely train my mind. And if I hadn't done that, our house buying process right now would have been completely different.
Would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're married,
So-
when you're the saying of like what's yours is mine and what's mine is yours is true not only like metaphorically but literally in finances. If I had no debt, but you had student loans, you had credit cards, that too now is on paper my debt since we're married. So when you go to buy a house, they'll do a debt to income ratio on you. They'll basically say, how much do you make? How much debt do you have? And that's how they figure out what you're approved for a loan because you're about to take out more debt.
Right.
So yeah, if you had your student loans debt, like it would have, I don't know if it would have ruined us, but it for sure would have put us in a shitty situation when buying a house. Like,
yeah, we probably wouldn't have gotten definitely the house that we did get.
yeah, like and I told our lender this when we were going to shop for homes. I was like, we are so vanilla and boring. You're gonna love us because we have no debt. Like even the truck we have, the truck is paid off. Our student loans is paid off. Our credit cards are paid off. And so your debt is zero and your income's 100%. Like
Yeah.
it's, so like getting the loan is easy.
Yeah.
But to answer the first part of that question, you need to figure out one where you want to live.
Oh, yeah.
So like Ashley and I for the first 2 years, every weekend would go drive different neighborhoods that we liked, all over the place in
Yeah.
different states. We'd get lunch there or something, get coffee, strut
Walk.
around, go thrift storing, like just see the area, meet some people that live there. And then each weekend it'd slowly get more narrowed and narrowed and narrowed down. And then also we'd go to a ton of open houses.
Yeah.
In our price range, out of our price range. I was more going because I wanted to see why our homes valued at what they're valued.
Mm-hmm.
And then also to get inspo, like in our house now, we're taking ideas that we saw at other homes from open houses, and we're like, oh, remember this house in this town? We should do
The
you know,
columns.
yeah, the columns, exactly.
Yeah.
Like so, and we're gonna document that whole thing, so you guys will be able to see like all the demos that we do in our house. So you got to shop. You shop an area, and then you go to a lender. We use Shant. I cannot speak more highly of Shant at rate. He is licensed in all 50 states. This is not an ad or anything. We have no affiliation
say
other
that
than
live.
we used him for our home. He literally saved our life. He made that process so easy, so streamlined. He literally took like a normal process of like, it'd probably be like, I'd say a healthy month to like get your documents in, you get your pre-approval, hopefully you get your offer accepted. Now you really get your loan. You figure out what that actually looks like. He made that whole process a breeze.
Right.
And then I'd get a realtor you trust before anything. So we used Anthony Castellano, a stud, Italian stallion of a human, to help us shop homes.
Yeah.
So you need a team.
Oh, yeah.
You need a good. You can't just go rogue. I would highly recommend getting an agent you trust and a broker you trust.
Yeah. And you definitely need to like trust them and know, because like they're also working off commission. So that's just like normal. So you need to be able to trust them because like they just want money. Not that they just want money, but like they want a sale. So you need to know that like they're going to like put you in the right direction with like, we've went to houses with Anthony where he's like, listen, from what you want, this is just not it.
Yeah.
It's a great price. It's not what you want,
You
and you're
gotta
not
find
going to
someone
be
you
happy.
trust.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think too, like something that at least I didn't know going into this, because you always hear people like first time home buyers, you can put down like 3%. So you're like, oh, and like you look at the mortgage, you're like, oh, that mortgage, especially if you live in Boston, is probably about the same as you're paying for rent in Boston. There's so much more money that goes into it. So this goes off of like the debt too, because now you buy a house, like you gotta fork up a lot of your own money too.
And like for loans, like that's like the TikTok gurus being like, oh, you only need to put 3.5% down. Sure, that's dependent on a lot of variables,
Right.
but like our house, for example, we had to put down 20%.
Right.
Like they won't let you into it.
And competitively going in, if you
yeah.
offer 3.5, but someone just offered 20% or full cash, like, you know, that's going to make it harder for you too.
Yeah.
So just like making sure that you're so financially steady, and then also like the things we're doing to renovate the house to like make it look our way, or even like now we're going from a 1-bedroom apartment to a whole house. I need to now like furnish a house. So like, you know, we're not spending $1 trillion, but you need to buy stuff now to furnish
Yeah.
that house. So it's difficult, but I would definitely just say, you know, like you have to make sacrifices now if you want that type of life. maybe not going out to eat every single week and not going out on the weekends and not shopping at Home Goods just because it's there.
God, that's a whole episode. in
like I had to
itself
do that.
right there. Yeah.
Right. Like I had to like drive by a Target and be like, shit, I'm not stopping there. I don't need anything. I never needed anything.
Yeah.
Just, you know, like you have to make those sacrifices so that when you get to the point, you can do it with a little less stress. It'll always be stressful, but a little less stress.
Yeah. 100%.
So
I like it. Beautifully said.
thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for us on the Cooney Show. As always, if you're at this point of the show, boy, are you a trooper, huh? Good God, you've been with us for the last 38 minutes and change. Once we'll see what this pans out to minutes-wise on the cutting room floor, Hurley. But as always, like, subscribe. If you like the show, give us a comment. If you hated the show, give us a comment. We need the feedback either way. Ladies and gentlemen, hugs and kisses. As always, this is the Cooney Show.